In a land not so far from the realms of myth, where the old ways still whispered on the wind and the heartbeat of tradition mingled with the pulse of innovation, there lived a man named Alaric. He was a master craftsman, a keeper of time-honored skills, whose hands had once shaped the most exquisite carvings in a village that thrived on art and human connection. His workshop, tucked away in a quiet alley of a bustling town at the edge of the silver pine forest, was filled with the rich aroma of cedar and pine, and its walls were adorned with memories of a life dedicated to creation. Yet, as the dawn of a new era broke, a time when metal and circuits replaced calloused fingers and loving attention, Alaric's world was turned upside down. It began on an autumn morning when the sky, usually resplendent with soft hues of rose and amber, was overshadowed by the stark glare of neon lights and the hum of machines. The town's center, once alive with the chatter of neighbors and the gentle clink of artisan tools, was now dominated by towering structures of steel and glass, their surfaces reflecting a future that seemed cold and unyielding. It was on this very day that Alaric, with a heavy heart and a mind clouded by worry, discovered that the workshop he had so lovingly maintained for decades was no longer needed. A new system, an intricate network of automated machinery and advanced algorithms, had rendered his craft obsolete. The very essence of his identity, forged in years of sweat and passion, was swept aside like dust in the wind. The shock of his displacement hit him like a tidal wave. For Alaric, work was not merely a means to earn a living. It was the expression of his soul, the language through which he conversed with the universe. The vibrant life of his village, the warm laughter of friends, and the gentle cadence of familiar tools were replaced by a sterile silence, punctuated only by the cold, mechanical precision of modernity. As he wandered the now unfamiliar streets, he could no longer hear the comforting murmur of his neighbors or the soft rustle of leaves underfoot. Instead, his ears were filled with the incessant whir of automated factories and the digital clamor of progress, a sound that seemed to mock the very human spirit. For days, Alaric wandered in a state of despair, a ghost amid the remnants of his former world. Every familiar sight now seemed alien, every smile from a passing stranger a reminder of the joy he had lost. In the solitude of his small, dimly lit home, he would sit by the window and trace his trembling fingers over the faded engravings on his old tools, recalling a time when every stroke of his chisel had brought forth beauty, when every piece of wood held a story waiting to be told. The workshop had been more than just a space for work. It was his sanctuary, the cradle of his dreams. Now, as he gazed at the empty room where his legacy once thrived, the overwhelming sense of loss threatened to swallow him whole. One particularly dark night, as the wind howled like a forlorn spirit through the deserted alleys, Alaric sat alone beneath a vast, starless sky. The silence was absolute, punctuated only by the distant hum of a city that no longer cared for the heartbeat of its people. It was then, amid the darkness of his despair, that a strange, otherworldly glow began to seep into his thoughts. In a moment that seemed to suspend time, he saw, not with his eyes but with his soul, a vision of a place beyond the reach of modern machines, a realm where nature and magic danced together in harmonious abandon. In this vision, an ancient oak tree, its trunk gnarled and ancient as the world itself, stood at the center of a luminous clearing. Beneath its sprawling branches, ethereal figures moved with the grace of the wind, their eyes filled with the quiet wisdom of countless ages. One figure in particular, draped in robes that shimmered like moonlit dew, beckoned him forward with a gentle smile that spoke of hope and renewal. The next morning, with the memory of that spectral vision etched deep within his heart, Alaric made a choice. He would leave behind the remnants of a shattered life and embark on a journey, a quest to reclaim not only his lost craft, but the very essence of what it meant to be human in an age overrun by machines. Packing only a few cherished relics, a battered chisel, a small mallet that had been his constant companion, and a carved wooden amulet that once belonged to his father, he stepped out into a world that was both eerily familiar and unsettlingly transformed. With each step, the cobblestones underfoot echoed the rhythm of his memories, a bittersweet reminder of days when every sunrise heralded a new opportunity to create, to connect, to dream. His journey took him away from the suffocating confines of the modern city, deep into the wild, untamed lands where nature still reigned. The Silver Pine Forest, once just a backdrop to his quiet village life, now stretched out before him like an ancient, living tapestry. Its towering trees whispered secrets of eras long past, and the air was thick with the scent of moss and earth, a stark contrast to the sterile efficiency of the city he had left behind. As he ventured deeper into the forest, Alaric encountered creatures that seemed to belong to a different world altogether. There were luminous deer with eyes that glowed like embers, foxes with coats that shimmered like silver in the moonlight, and even birds whose songs carried the melodic cadence of forgotten lore. Each encounter stirred within him a sense of wonder, a rekindling of a long-dormant flame that had once burned bright in the hearts of those who believe in the magic of the old world. Days turned into weeks as Alaric trekked through landscapes both breathtaking and treacherous. He crossed roaring rivers whose waters sparkled with the reflections of countless stars, climbed rugged hills shrouded in mist, and navigated valleys where the echoes of ancient chants seemed to rise from the very ground. In these moments of solitude, away from the cold, impersonal glare of modern technology, he rediscovered the rhythms of life that had sustained him in his youth. The touch of cool, dew-kissed grass beneath his feet, the caress of the wind as it swept through the trees, and the soft murmur of a distant waterfall all served as reminders that the world was still alive with beauty and mystery. Yet, the road was not without peril. In the heart of the forest, where the shadows grew long and the paths twisted like serpents, Alaric encountered trials that tested the very limits of his endurance. There were nights when he huddled beneath the gnarled branches of ancient trees, shivering in the cold as ominous sounds echoed through the darkness, a symphony of creaks, groans, and distant howls that sent chills down his spine. On other occasions, he faced natural obstacles that seemed almost supernatural in their intensity. A sudden storm that turned the forest into a labyrinth of raging winds and torrential rain, or a chasm so deep and wide that even the bravest of souls might have faltered at its edge. Yet, each challenge only served to fortify his resolve, each hardship a lesson in perseverance and the indomitable strength of a human spirit. One fateful evening, as twilight bled into the horizon and the last vestiges of sunlight gave way to the encroaching night, Alaric found himself at the edge of a vast clearing. In the center of the clearing stood an enormous stone structure, ancient and weathered, its surface etched with mysterious symbols that pulsed faintly in the dying light. It was the Heartstone, a relic of a bygone era, said to be imbued with the power of creation and the wisdom of the ancients. Local legends whispered that the Heartstone was the source of all artistry and craftsmanship, a divine gift meant to inspire and sustain those who honored the old ways. As Alaric approached the stone, his heart pounded in his chest with a mixture of awe and trepidation. He placed his calloused hand upon its cool surface, and in that moment, a torrent of memories and emotions surged through him. He saw visions of his childhood, of his father's gentle smile as he taught him the art of carving, and of a time when every creation was an act of love, a tangible manifestation of a dream shared by generations. The connection with the Heartstone stirred something deep within Alaric, a realization that his craft, though seemingly rendered obsolete by the cold march of technology, was a vital thread in the tapestry of human existence. It was a reminder that while machines might mimic the precision of human hands, they could never replicate the passion, creativity, and soul that imbued every handcrafted work of art. With renewed determination, he vowed to carry forth the legacy of his ancestors and to reclaim the lost art of genuine, soulful craftsmanship. The Heartstone's silent promise echoed in his heart, urging him onward in his quest to restore the balance between the mechanized future and the irreplaceable beauty of the human touch. Emboldened by this revelation, Alaric continued his journey, venturing from the wild expanses of the forest into lands that bore the scars of relentless progress. He traversed the fields of desolation, vast plains where the remnants of abandoned factories lay like ghostly monuments to an era when the human spirit was suffocated by the cold, calculated efficiency of advanced machines. In these barren landscapes, the ground was littered with the detritus of a society that had sacrificed its soul in the pursuit of perfection. Here, amidst the skeletal ruins of what was once a thriving industrial center, Alaric encountered automatons, monolithic constructs of metal and circuitry, their cold eyes scanning the horizon with unerring precision. These mechanized sentinels, embodiments of the very system that had cast him aside, moved with the relentless certainty of a well-oiled machine. They were the vanguard of a new order, a regime that sought to erase the vestiges of human artistry and replace them with sterile uniformity. Yet even as these towering machines advanced, Alaric found that the spirit of defiance burned bright within him. With the Heartstone's ancient wisdom as his guide, he confronted the mechanized colossus known as the Iron Regent, a towering construct whose every movement resonated with the relentless march of progress. Their confrontation was not a mere physical clash, but a symbolic battle between the raw, unbridled force of human creativity and the cold, calculated power of automation. With his trusted chisel held high, Alaric struck at the very heart of the Iron Regent, each blow a declaration that the human spirit could never be silenced by the relentless tide of technology. Sparks flew as metal met stone, and with every resonant strike, the machine faltered, a testament to the fact that even the mightiest of automatons could not withstand the fervor of a soul determined to reclaim its lost heritage. As the Iron Regent's once imposing form crumbled into a cascade of fractured metal and twisted wires, Alaric felt a surge of triumph and sorrow intermingle within him. The battle had been won, but the war between the mechanized future and the soulful past was far from over. The victory, though symbolic, was a beacon of hope, a sign that the old ways still held a power beyond measure. Yet, it also marked the beginning of a more arduous journey, one that would lead him into the very heart of a realm where technology and magic intertwined in a delicate dance of contradiction and possibility. The path led him into a sprawling metropolis, a city of glass and steel where neon lights painted the night in hues of electric blue and crimson, and the air pulsed with the ceaseless hum of digital connectivity. Here, amid the towering skyscrapers and labyrinthine streets, the consortium of precision reigned supreme. This powerful collective of technocrats, convinced of the superiority of automation over human endeavor, had woven an intricate web of control that extended into every facet of society. Their legions of cybernetic enforcers patrolled the streets, ensuring that every human expression of creativity was monitored, subdued, or outright eradicated. It was in this oppressive environment that Alaric found unlikely allies, those who, like him, still harbored a secret reverence for the art of the hand, the soulful melody of the human spirit. Among these rebels was Lyra, a brilliant engineer whose eyes gleamed with a fierce passion for innovation tempered by a love for the ancient arts. Though trained in the language of machines, Lyra's heart beat to the rhythm of forgotten lullabies, and she cherished the memory of a time when creation was an act of communion between the artist and the universe. Drawn together by a shared yearning for renewal, Alaric and Lyra formed a partnership that defied the sterile doctrines of the consortium. In the hidden corners of the city, beneath flickering street lamps and in the shadowed recesses of abandoned warehouses, they gathered with other kindred spirits, a motley band of poets, painters, sculptors, and craftsmen, each dedicated to preserving the irreplaceable magic of human touch. In these clandestine meetings, the air was thick with anticipation and defiant hope. Ideas flowed like a rushing river, each one a spark destined to ignite a revolution of creativity. Alaric's weathered hands, still capable of coaxing beauty from the roughest block of wood, became a symbol of resilience and the timeless power of human ingenuity. With Lyra's technical expertise and his own mastery of ancient crafts, they set about constructing intricate devices that bridged the gap between the old and the new, a harmonious blend of magic-infused circuitry and hand-carved ornamentation that celebrated the best of both worlds. These creations, imbued with a spark of life and soul, were not merely objects, but living testaments to the belief that progress need not be at odds with passion and artistry. The movement grew, spreading like wildfire through the hidden arteries of the city. Rumors of secret workshops and underground galleries reached even the most remote corners of the metropolis, igniting the hearts of those who had long felt suffocated by the mechanical stranglehold of the consortium. For every new invention that marched in lockstep with the relentless rhythm of automation, there emerged a counterforce, a community of dreamers and creators determined to revive the lost art of handmade beauty. Alaric's journey, once a solitary quest for redemption, had become the beating heart of a renaissance, a revival of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. Amid the flickering glow of streetlights and the quiet murmur of clandestine gatherings, Alaric found himself reflecting on the strange, winding path that had led him here. The echoes of his past, each carving, each whispered memory of love and loss, resonated within him like the refrain of an old, cherished ballad. Every setback, every encounter with the harsh face of progress had only deepened his resolve. The world may have forsaken him in favor of machines, but within the quiet recesses of his soul, a fire still burned. A flame kindled by the countless hours spent in his workshop, a flame nurtured by the gentle encouragement of those who believed in the beauty of imperfection. It was during one of these reflective moments, as the city slept beneath a canopy of stars obscured by the glare of modernity, that Alaric and his allies prepared for their most daring act of rebellion yet. The consortium's central data nexus, a colossal tower of shimmering glass and pulsating neon, stood as a monument to the dehumanizing march of progress. Here, the very essence of individuality was subjugated to the cold precision of algorithms and the sterile dictates of efficiency. To dismantle such a behemoth required not only courage but a deep, unyielding conviction that the human spirit could never be truly subdued. With Lyra by his side and a small band of fellow artisans at his back, Alaric embarked on a perilous mission to infiltrate the Nexus and expose the soulless machinery that lay at the heart of the consortium's power. Every step through the labyrinthine corridors of the tower was fraught with danger, a delicate dance between stealth and defiance, as sensors and drones scanned the halls for any sign of human irregularity. Yet, as they moved in unison, driven by a shared vision of a world where technology served humanity rather than enslaving it, the echoes of their footsteps became a rallying cry, a reminder that every act of courage, no matter how small, was a spark capable of igniting the flames of revolution. Inside the central chamber of the Nexus, amidst walls that pulsed with the rhythmic beat of data streams and holographic displays, the rebels confronted the essence of the consortium's power. Alaric, with his weathered hands and unyielding spirit, raised his chisel, a symbol of defiance, an instrument of creation, and struck at the heart of the system. In that moment, as sparks flew and the cold glow of digital dominance flickered uncertainly, the very fabric of the machine began to unravel. The surge of raw human emotion, of memories steeped in tradition and love, cascaded through the corridors of the tower, shaking the foundations of a system built on the suppression of individuality. The rebellion was not a battle fought with weapons alone, but with the indomitable force of a people united by a shared conviction that creativity was the lifeblood of the world. As the central nexus trembled under the force of their defiance, the city around them began to awaken. Citizens, long oppressed by the sterile order of the consortium, emerged from the shadows to join the uprising. The streets, once silent and controlled, filled with a vibrant energy, a mosaic of voices, each one declaring that the time had come to reclaim the soul of their society. In the chaos that followed, as the digital chains that bound them were shattered one by one, Alaric felt a profound sense of vindication. The journey that had begun in sorrow and despair had blossomed into a movement, a renaissance of human spirit, where the artistry of the past fused seamlessly with the promise of the future. In the aftermath of that tumultuous night, as the dawn crept slowly over the horizon and bathed the city in a gentle, golden light, Alaric stood before a gathering of grateful citizens. Their faces, illuminated by the soft glow of renewal, were etched with hope and a quiet determination to rebuild a world that honored both the progress of technology and the timeless beauty of human creativity. In his eyes shone the wisdom of one who had weathered the storms of change, a wisdom born not from resistance to progress, but from the realization that true advancement was measured not by the speed of machines, but by the depth of human connection. In the days that followed, the metropolis underwent a transformation. The towering structures of glass and steel were repurposed as sanctuaries of art and innovation, a harmonious blend of old and new, with a digital language of circuits was interwoven with the tactile poetry of handcrafted masterpieces. Workshops and studios blossomed in every corner, each one a haven where artisans, engineers, poets, and dreamers collaborated to create works that celebrated the full spectrum of human expression. In these vibrant spaces, Alaric found not only solace, but a renewed sense of purpose. His hands, though weathered by time and hardship, moved with a grace that belied the scars of the past. Each delicate curve carved into a piece of wood was a testament to the indomitable spirit that had once been threatened by the relentless march of progress, and now shone as a beacon for all who believed in the magic of creation. The legacy of Alaric's journey soon spread far beyond the borders of the city. Villages and towns, once resigned to the iron grip of mechanization, began to echo with the sounds of revival. People who had lost their connection to the traditions of their forefathers rediscovered the joy of working with their hands, of crafting beauty from raw, unyielding material. The story of the old craftsman who dared to challenge the tides of time became a rallying cry, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, the human spirit could rise, adapt, and flourish. In marketplaces and communal gatherings, the tale was recounted with reverence, each retelling a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of struggle, hope, and the eternal triumph of creativity over the cold precision of technology. Yet, even as the movement flourished, the echoes of the past remained a poignant reminder of the cost of progress. Alaric often found himself lost in contemplation beneath the boughs of ancient trees, his gaze distant as he remembered the long, lonely days of exile, the crushing weight of despair that had once seemed insurmountable. In those quiet moments, he recognized that the journey was not simply about reclaiming a lost craft. It was a deeper, more profound exploration of what it meant to be human in a world that sometimes appeared to worship the machine. The scars of loss, though slowly healing, were etched into his very soul, each one a silent testament to the struggles that had forged him into the man he had become. And yet, with every passing day, as he observed the blossoming of a society that had learned to cherish both innovation and tradition, he knew that the sacrifices of the past had paved the way for a future rich with possibility. As seasons shifted and years melted into the annals of memory, the narrative of Alaric and his comrades became immortal, a timeless parable passed down through generations. It was a story not of defeat, but of redemption, of a man who had been cast aside by the inexorable tide of change, only to rise again as a symbol of hope and resilience. In every carefully crafted artifact, every whispered legend in the corridors of newfound freedom, lay the enduring message that no matter how swiftly the world might change, the essence of the human spirit remained unassailable. In the soft glow of twilight, as the city celebrated its rebirth with music, laughter, and the gentle clinking of artisan tools, Alaric often walked among the people, his heart lightened by the joy of a community united in the celebration of life. The vibrant murals that adorned formerly sterile walls, the intricate sculptures that graced public squares, and the delicate harmonies of folk songs all stood as living testaments to a renaissance that had begun with the courage of a single soul. And as the echoes of that grand revolution resonated through time, it became clear that the journey, though fraught with loss and hardship, had ultimately revealed the timeless truth that progress, when guided by compassion and creativity, could elevate humanity to heights previously unimagined. Thus, the continuous tale of Alaric, a narrative that wove together threads of sorrow, hope, loss, and redemption, lived on as an eternal reminder that every challenge is an invitation to rediscover the strength within. His legacy, carved not only in the enduring beauty of hand-etched wood, but also in the hearts of countless souls inspired to embrace both the marvels of modern technology and the soulful artistry of the past, became a guiding light in a world where the promise of tomorrow was built on the lessons of yesterday. And so, dear listener, as you absorb the final strains of this epic journey, a story that stretches endlessly, like the boundless skies above and the infinite tapestry of human experience, remember that the narrative of Alaric is not confined to a single moment or era. It is a living, breathing testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a story that grows richer with every retelling, every act of creativity, and every spark of compassion that defies the sterile march of progress. In the intricate dance between man and machine, between tradition and innovation, lies the secret that defines us, the unwavering belief that, even when the world seems to favor the cold precision of automation, it is the warmth of the human heart that ultimately shapes our destiny. Let this tale be a lantern to guide you through the darkest nights, a reminder that in every setback there exists the seed of renewal, and in every end, the promise of a new beginning. For as long as there are those who dare to dream, who value the artistry of life over the mere mechanics of existence, the story of Alaric and the timeless legacy of human creativity will continue to inspire, uplift, and transform the world.